So for women over the age of 40, I will say that, in order to stimulate your bone density, in order to tell your bones to become stronger and more dense, do impact exercises. What are impact exercises? And then, no brainer, we all can think of what are impact exercises, like dancing, running, jumping, box jumping. All these are so important, functional, and I call them functional exercises for a reason. They are actually telling and stimulating your bone to basically become more strong and more dense. And that's utmost important.
Well, welcome to Biohacking with Brittany, the podcast where science meets wisdom. I'm Brittany Ford, holistic nutritionist, biohacker, and mom. And for years, I struggled with gut issues, hormonal imbalances, and the exhaustion of motherhood while running a business. Biohacking and functional medicine became my way back to clarity, vitality, and trust in my body. And that's why I'm here, not just to share information, but to share the practices and perspectives that truly shifted my health and my life. Each week, I bring you science-backed tools, honest conversations, and rituals I live myself so you can return to your own body's wisdom and create longevity on your own terms. Because your body already knows this is just the space to remember. Oh, welcome to Biohacking with Brittany. I am so grateful that you are listening today. I got to sit down with Dr. Mani Kukreja, and she is a medically trained wellness advocate and the founder of Live Age Well, a comprehensive wellness platform dedicated to optimizing health and preventing disease. This was a cool episode because we really got to peel back the layers on aging for women, especially women in their 40s, and kind of what they can do during that perimenopause decade almost in order to optimize their health into later years. We talk a lot about exercise, bone health, muscle health, nutrition that goes along with that. And I actually learned quite a bit speaking with Dr. Mani, and I've actually kind of made a couple tweaks to my own regimens and routines in order to kind of alleviate some of the issues that I've been facing, but also to optimize my health for the long term. So we talk about how much protein to have and when to have it. We talk about what type of exercise should women be doing in order to prevent osteoporosis, bone fractures and breaking bones, frail bones when you get older, and the repercussions of having weaker bones and what that actually means for your health statistically as well. So this was very interesting to kind of connect the dots long term for women's health. And I don't think a lot of people are really talking about this. There is so much you can do in the earlier decades to prevent a lot of these things from happening and to simply just be proactive. And so Dr. Mani was awesome on the show. She brought so much information and insight, and also just her own personal stories as well on really what we can do. And it was a very inspiring interview that we had. So she combines her extensive medical training with cutting-edge wellness strategies, and her career kind of spans leadership roles at the University of Alabama, at Birmingham's Cardiovascular Surgical Research Program, and the Medical College of Wisconsin Cancer Research Program. And she directed clinical research operations in those spaces. So she's also a keynote speaker, an educator, and really, she is recognized for her expertise in health optimization, biohacking, and disease prevention. She is also the author. She has a book, and it's called Age Stronger, Live Longer. And that's really what we talked about today. So we talked about taking all of that framework of like, how do we be as healthy as we can be in our 60s, 70s, 80s? And what can we do now to create that? We talk about the foundations and some extra biohacking things too. And yeah, this was just like so up my alley, this discussion. I just loved it. And I know you will love it as well. Before we dive in, a shout out to my retreat. I actually just hopped off of a different interview with somebody who was like, tell me about this retreat that you're doing. I actually think I know some women who would love to go. And I was like, yeah, okay, send them my way because I would love to have them. We are meeting in Costa Rica for 5 nights, 6 days in March next year. This is for the woman who wants a reset in life, who wants a break and who really wants a space to focus on her so that she can show up for her family and her life and her career and her ambitions, and honestly show up for herself in a much better and deeper way. We all need to take a step back in order to propel forward. And this is exactly the space and time to do that. I want you there. I know if you're listening to this and you're feeling the call, I know you're thinking about it, and there are a few spots left. And I want to say you should book soon because, especially as we head into fall, everyone is suddenly thinking about winter and like what vacations they're going to do, where they're going to travel. And so the spots are filling up. And if this is something that's on your mind, I highly suggest you book. Couple things here. I have now opened up for 15-minute alignment calls. So if you want to chat with me one-on-one on Zoom, we can totally do that. I will put that link in the description and in my show notes, and it's all over my website so people can find it and you can find it. And there's lots of availability where we can hop on a call whenever it works with your schedule. And I'm also doing a live question and answer next Thursday. That is September 11th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. This is a Zoom call. The link is in my bio on Instagram right now. I will put it in my show notes as well. And it will also be going out in my emails this week. So you can join me on Zoom with a bunch of other people. You can join me on a one-on-one call, whatever you want to do. I'm here to answer your questions and really help you get going with this because I think it's something very exciting and something very unique. And I want to say that it has actually just been featured in the Raven Reports. They did a full article on my retreat and they talked about why wellness tourism is actually shifting gears to focus on women's health and women's health optimization. And my retreat is the perfect example for that. So that was such an honor to be featured by them. And I will also link that article if you're looking for it. And a shout out to Calo Curb. This is a really, oh my gosh, man, this is a very interesting, innovative supplement. So they came on my podcast, and essentially Calo Curb is a healthier, more natural form of Ozempic. Now, whenever I talk about this, people like their ears suddenly like perk up because they're like, oh, natural form of Ozempic, like sign me up. Yes, if you are someone who is looking to lose weight and you think that you should be or could be at a healthier weight, this might be what you're looking for. I like it because it mimics our hormones throughout the day, whereas Ozempic kind of shuts down appetite 24/7. If you take the Calo Curb supplement, you take it before meals, so it reduces your appetite hormones for a few hours afterwards, and then it comes back. And I think it's important to have that cycle. We don't need to shut off our appetite hormones around the clock. I love this. If I were in a space where I was looking to lose weight, this is something I would definitely be using. My mom is using it right now, and she could not believe the difference. She's like, I'm just not hungry. Like I have a little bit of dinner. I'm still getting in my calories. She's still getting in her like nutrient dense food, her protein, everything like that. But she's like, I just don't have the cravings after dinner. I don't crave snacks. And I think she's lost like 8 pounds in 3 weeks. So very cool to see. And again, something natural. There's no side effects from it. So if you're interested, check out Calo Curb, spelled CALOCURB. It's in my show notes, and you can use my discount code and you will be able to save as well. And a shout out to Spermidine Life. I posted about Spermidine yesterday on my Instagram stories, and I think I got 300 replies. What's really cool about Spermidine is it's actually natural in the body, and we are just simply increasing our own levels. And I love that. Once we hit around 30, our Spermidine levels begin to decline. And spermidine really helps with cellular turnover. So if we can increase our levels, we're increasing cellular turnover and we're allowing more new, healthier cells and getting rid of like the old ones that aren't functioning as well. So it is one of the key it helps with one of the key hallmarks of aging, and that's why I take spermidine. Also, it helps with hair growth and nail growth, which is really cool to see, and I'm obsessed with that. So check out spermidine. Link to my show notes on my website and everywhere if you need it. And thank you for listening. I will catch you soon for another episode. Well, welcome back to the show, everybody. I am so thrilled that you are listening today. We are diving into aging and longevity, one of my favorite topics as a biohacker. And I feel like this whole world is actually just exploding more and more and more every year. And so it's really cool to bring on the experts and take a deeper look into this, why we're aging, why women might be aging faster, and what are the causes there. What does this mean for women in their 40s, 30s, 20s, 50s, all over the place, moms, everything like that. And so joining me today is Dr. Manny Kukreja. I hope I said your last name
You did.
correctly somewhat. She is a physician and integrative wellness expert, and she's brilliant. So, Dr. Manny, welcome to the show.
I'm glad to be here, Brittany. Lovely to start the talk with you.
Yeah, absolutely. How did you get started into this space of aging and anti-aging? Like, why focus there?
So, my story is that I am medically trained, and then after my medical training, I did my master's in public health and women's, especially focusing on women's health, and also the chronic diseases like diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, obesity, Alzheimer's. So it kind of just, it kind of just gave me that fusion on a platform to study women in particular, and especially what they deal with, as they age, especially after the age of 40. I mean, women are okay around 30, and right after 30, they start to decline every year by year. And the main reason for that is definitely stress. Women kind of just, they kind of bear the stress of, their whole family, their businesses, their lifestyle. And then, I mean, they are the nurturing, that they are the nurturing human, so they kind of just bear so much load of stress. And besides that, another physiological thing that happens, biological thing that happens in our body, especially at the age of 40, when you kind of have a decline in your estrogen hormone, that's a main women hormone. And because of that decline in estrogen, you have a decline in bone density. And because of which, then you start to suffer. Your cognition power suffers, your stress is kind of just elevated, your metabolism slows down, you kind of just gain weight around the mid section of your body, around the belly, and then, and then all those sign and symptoms, which kind of just steeply you down. And then there comes the depression a bit, So all those factors, they kind of just take huge toll on women's health, especially. And that's why my main focus was to study women's health, that why do women suffers the most and why they don't have to. They don't have to, because I mean, women's health is so important because they are the foundation. Because if their health is good, I mean, everything around them is going to be just good and great. Their family is going to be good. Their husbands are going to have the good business running. Their kids are going to be nurturing well. So this is a very prime concern that needs to be addressed. And that's why particularly I wanted to study women's in particular, especially over the age of 40. And that's the reason I kind of just came up with this book, which is I'm the author of this book, Age Stronger, Live Longer. And as the name suggests, that this has all the biohacking techniques. It has all, and I don't even call them biohacking techniques because technically, this word is something that we've generated out of our own health. It's science, if you say that in truthful science, where you can actually back it by the science, I call them more like a bio-optimization. That means I'm kind of just dealing and balancing my own biology, my own body, uh, in alignment with my uh, own homeostasis, and that is what I call bio-optimization. So this book has very easy to understand all the strategies, and very all the strategies are all science-backed strategies. It's understandable to laymen, it's understandable to the basic public, basic women who are reading it, professional women who are reading it. Very simple to understand strategies and easy lifestyle modifications that we can actually, make those modifications very easily in our life, day-to-day life.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's important to focus on the easier things. And I like to say a lot of the best biohacks are actually free. And it's things like, getting outside, exercising, water, those types of things, more sleep, even. We the advanced technologies and biohacks are great, but if we don't have the foundational pieces ready to go and like we're actually doing on a daily basis, they're not going to really move the needle enough, especially if we're talking about like aging and longevity.
Very well said, Brittany, because first of all, I mean, you need to make your foundations right. I mean, if your whole of your house is actually laid on the foundations, if your foundations and your pillars are strong, and then you can add all the fanciness, you can add all the techniques, you can add all the biohacking strategies, you can add basic, nice, fancy supplements. I call them designer life. First we need to have our basic life, okay, and
Mhm.
it's set, and then you can add any designer stuff into it. And this is, I mean, even through my medical profession, I mean, when I was through my medical and my professional journey, doing my medical school and then the public health school, doing the women's health, and then shifting on my focus to prevention and then to integrative wellness. All through these years, what I noticed was I was doing a lot of clinical research, studying the disease, studying the risk factors, studying the outcomes of the disease,
Mm.
trends of the disease. I had done so many clinical research and basically mostly focused on chronic diseases like diabetes mainly and also on cancers. What I noticed, what I witnessed was that we just wait too long. We just keep waiting. We keep waiting until the symptoms appear, and then we kind of just patch those symptoms with the help of pharmaceuticals and insurance. And that is not something we need to do. And who suffers the most? The women suffers the most because the women, especially women over the age of 40, around that age of 40, because they are anyway dealing with that perimenopausal symptoms. They are dealing with the graying of hair, the belly fat accumulation, and loss of mobility, loss of muscle. And then they think that these all symptoms are due to just the part of aging. But this is exactly how it needs to be thought. I mean, these are the things that you can simply just I mean take care of in your day-to-day life. And we can just do a lot. And there is no age bar. You can start them at the age of 30, 40, 50, 60, beyond. I mean, your body, human body and human mind, they can thrive at any age. The age is not a bar. Age doesn't matter. You can start at any age and you can optimize your health.
Picture this. You wake up in the Costa Rican jungle, sunlight streaming through the trees, fresh tropical air, and your day begins with yoga, nourishing food, and luxury spa rituals designed to restore every part of you. This is Optimize Her, my 5-night luxury women's retreat where biohacking meets deep feminine restoration. Together, we'll reset your body, upgrade your health, and enhance your longevity with workshops, sound healing, cacao ceremonies, and so much more. And here's the catch. Spots are extremely limited. A few have already been taken in the first 24 hours, and once all 12 are gone, they're gone for good. So if you've been waiting for the sign to finally say yes to yourself, this is it. Go to biohackingbrittany.com right now to claim your spot before it's too late. Optimize Her is waiting for you. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I completely agree. I think age is something that we've invented, right? Like
Right.
this is how many years we've gone around the sun, apparently. But it's not necessarily a reflection of our health. And like now there's all these like biological age tests that you can do that are like, oh, you're actually this age, which is interesting. But I really agree with what you say. Like we wait until the symptoms show up and then we panic and then we want a quick fix, whether it's a supplement or a pharmaceutical. But I think what you're saying is like the better approach is let's be proactive today, regardless of where you are, regardless of what age you are. And so for the women listening to this who are like, okay, I want to be proactive about my longevity and my aging, where do I start? Like, what is the foundational things that they have to kind of work to have into place that's going to make a difference for them?
Very good question, Brittany, here. The very first thing, as per the human design, our biology, our human evolution, the movement is the most important thing. I mean, there is no system, there is no tissue, there is no cell that we don't see benefit to if we are moving. Human body, as per the evolution, I mean, the hunter-gatherer's life, even our life. If we don't move enough, we can't even do our day-to-day function. In order to eat, in order to work, run our businesses, we all move. Our body is designed to be moving. A non-moving body is basically a dead body. Even when the kid is born, the newborn is born, the very first thing that we see is he's moving his limbs. He or she moves him, he's, crying.
Mhm.
So he moves his muscles. And when he moves his lungs, we know that the child is breathing. Moves the the heart, the child is pumping the blood. Moves his limbs, we know that everything is all functioning and child is alive because non-moving body is a dead body, right? So movement is something that by God's evolution is something that is inbuilt in us. Our bodies are designed to move. So when you know that movement is so important, it's so critical, then why not we just make movement as a medicine? It is good for immune system, it's good for your metabolism, it's good for your heart system, it's good for your brain health, it's just good for every single cell of your body. So movement is the main critical foundation. And for movement, what we need is the most important thing that, if I ask even um, a child who's just 10-year-old age for movement, what do you need? The most important thing that you need is bone. And then from along with the bones, because bones cannot function solely, they need muscles, right? And then they need ligament, they need tendons, because muscles, ligament, tendons, they all form the whole system of locomotion, because of which movement happens, and then you move. So muscle is very important, so bones are important, muscles are important. And then, in order to feed the bones and muscle, what is important is the right nourishment. The nutrients are important, like protein, magnesium, vitamin D3, K2, and then you need calcium and phosphate, because we need the bone is nothing but a meshwork of calcium and phosphate. Bone is not only calcium and phosphate, bone definitely needs protein also. People think that protein is only to build muscle. No, but bone, in order to form the bone meshwork, if you see the bone meshwork, it has a meshwork of protein. So it's built of protein fibers. And then you definitely need vitamin D, because you need vitamin D for bone development. So we need to make sure that our bone is healthy, our nourishment is pretty complete, our food is clean, it's a non processed food, it's a whole food, it's a non packaged food. It doesn't have gluten, it doesn't have dairy, it doesn't have much sugar, because gluten, dairy, sugar, what they do is basically they kind of just mess up your whole gut system, the whole microbiome system. And then you fall into that chaos of so many IBDs and leaky gut syndrome, and then finally into autoimmune disease. So you need to make sure that your food is proper. Along with the food, what else do you need? Muscles, just like I said, muscle. And I'll actually come to the bone. What is the most important thing for bone? So bone, we grow, bone grow constantly until the age of 30, all right, biologically. Then, right after the age of 30, and why I'm talking about bone, because for women, bone health is so important, because they are the one who are going to be suffering more than males, right?
Yeah.
Because women, as soon as they hit the age of 40, that they come into that stage of perimenopause, which is around 10 years before menopause. So, round about the age of 40 50 is the 10 years time span, which is called perimenopause. So during that perimenopause, what happens is there's a steep decline in your estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. And estrogen is a very, very important, or a very, very important hormone for cognition and for bone development and for bone density. So when they hit the age of 40, so from 30, they're okay. Until 30, you have a fantastic bone density. No problem, because your growth hormones are to the top of their levels, and you're pretty well marinated with your testosterone hormone, so you're very healthy. But right after 30, there is a 1% decline every year
Yeah.
in the estrogen. And right when you hit the age of menopause, around 50 to 52, and in some people it might come early, right around that age, you will have a decline in 20% in bone density within 5 to 7 years of hitting your menopause, which is,
Oh.
Brittany, I'm such a data driven person. I go by the facts, but if you don't give me enough data, I cannot be satisfied. I can't be convinced. So,
Mhm.
National Osteoporotic Foundation shows that, 20% decline right at the menopause and within 5 to 7 years after menopause, which is a huge decline,
Yeah.
right? So when you have so much bone density decline, you will suffer for falls and fractures. And I know that people, and I've seen people who have falls and fracture in their later age of their life. You know,
Mhm.
80% of those fractures are mainly because of falls, and falls are mainly because of bone density decline. And once you suffer from fractures and you've had some fall and then you've had some fracture and you are in the latter years of your life, there's a 30% chances that you will die. And there's
Wow.
a 50% chances that you will not come back home from your nursing home or from your hospitalized visit. 50% is a huge chance because 50% chance that you will never even regain your pre-fall functions back.
Mm.
So your quality of life becomes so poor. So that's why for me, the bone health is so, so important.
Interesting. Yeah.
And what really makes bones strong? What are and that's why I say like, okay, people, please do exercise. Obviously, we tell everybody to do exercise. Everybody is fanatic about doing the exercise. But then you got to be very mindful of what kind of exercises you are doing in what age of your life.
Yeah.
Whether you're male and female, you have different styles of exercise that will benefit you. If you are 30 versus you're 45, there are different styles of exercise that will benefit you. So for women over the age of 40, I will say that, in order to stimulate your bone density, in order to tell your bones to become stronger and more dense, do impact exercises. What are impact exercises? They are not like, I mean, obviously, walking is fantastic. I mean, just
Mhm.
whole body active. But impact exercises is when you put impact on your ankle. The more lower bone of your body, which bears the weight of your body, is the ankle bone, phalanges, and the ankle bone. So when you put pressure on those ankle bone, when you put pressure, that is called impact exercise. And then, no brainer, we all can think of what are impact exercises like dancing, running, jumping, box jumping. All these are so important, functional. And I call them functional exercises for a reason
Yeah.
because they have a function. They have a function to complete, right? Because their function is that when you are doing those particular kind of impact exercises, they are actually telling and stimulating your bone to basically become more strong and more dense, and that's utmost important.
Yeah. I have a question. Just want to pause you here. I so my mom is in her 60s, my mother-in-law is in her 60s, and both are into yoga and walking, and I love yoga. I think there's so much benefit from it, and I am a yogi, sure. Um, how does yoga fit into this? Is is yoga enough is what I want to say.
Yoga is wonderful,
Mhm.
fantastic. It's good for your mindfulness. It's good to lower your stress level. It's good for your mobility. It's good for your flexibility. It's good for day to day exercise. But when it comes to biological function of the bone, and
Yeah.
from being a doctor and thinking from that doctor point standpoint, I would say definitely add the impact exercises.
Yeah.
So what I do just, I mean, Brittany, there are many, I mean, it's life, right? I mean, you deal with lack of time and so much stress around, you're dealing with so much. When I don't get time to go to the gym and do all these, what I have formed the whole, the protocol, I just go by my pool, and there are those little high kind of, I kind of just jump on those and then jump them and just start with, less number. Start with 10 and start with 10 and just up it to 20. And then your body gets so used to then it's just a normal part of my process. The evening, I'll just go stand within 5 minutes. I can make 20 jumps. I mean, I know for me, even the box jump in the gym is just too big. I mean, I can do it with my trainer, but then I get a little worried because I'm
Yeah.
50 now. So, but what I do is, and these are these much elevations, literally half of the box jumps, and I just jump on them 20 to 25 times every single day. And I
Nice.
and I know because I know me and you have been to many conferences, biohacking conferences.
Mhm.
See, there is vibration plates, right?
Yeah.
Or on those vibration plates, they are another kind of stimulus that tells our bones to become strong.
Okay. And what about like pickleball? I played pickleball this morning and I'm just like thinking, I know there's a lot of benefit to racket sports in research in general, like tennis, but does that count as impact or no?
It it should. It should.
Okay.
I mean, it's not purely impact, but it is
Yeah.
definitely impact. You are running and then you are jumping at some point,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
at the same time, your heart rate is up. So you're basically getting both the benefits, your cardiovascular and endurance benefit,
Nice.
as well as your bone density benefit. So
Okay.
it's a great sport. It's a lovely sport. That's also, I think it's so good because it keeps your interest on. You don't get bored, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think it just keeps your regular habits and, to have you going and doing it every day. It's good.
Yeah. Interesting. Because I also like, we're the youngest people who are playing pickleball, by the way. Everybody in our community, we're in a small town. Everybody in our community is retired. And then it's me and my husband who play with these people, which is hilarious. But I think it's amazing that they're playing because it's much better than golf, right?
It's
Because I guess golf, you're just sitting on a cart, you get out, you swing, and then you go back on the cart. Maybe you walk the course, but there's definitely no impact there.
There is no impact. There is not much running there, and I
Mhm.
think also a little bit. It is more prone to injury because the old people, especially old people. I mean, their shoulder joint is much more delicate and much prone to ligament tear. And I think the golf has that swinging movement is kind of a little aggressive. So this is definitely a good exercise for even
Yeah.
though yes of
And
any
then, yeah. Yeah. Where does weightlifting play into this? Because I've been lifting weights since I was like 16 and I obviously as you know I had a baby and I've had to rework up my strength now. And it's a priority for me. Is this helping with my bone density from what you've seen?
definitely. And that was my next point to come on it because when I talk about bone, the next very important thing is muscle. And I am so glad and proud of you that you have been weightlifting since the age of 16 because not that many 16-year-old they have sense of doing this because one, they are very erratic and very regular. And I mean, I take my daughter, she's 16, and I take her for weightlifting twice in a week. But it's such
Nice.
a habit. I mean, I think if you have awareness, you can just do anything, right? So, weightlifting as early as you start is great because then you see the great benefits. Because if you
Mhm.
start at 40, 50, I mean, you get better, but you don't see that many great benefits versus
Right.
what you've already built at the age of 16 and onwards. You've already built that good quality muscle, right?
Mhm.
Weightlifting and resistance training is so good, and they are the most important thing for muscle building. So, and I wanted to actually incorporate why muscle is also so good for bone health. So, muscle health is kind of just goes hand in hand with the bone health. They are like just intermeshed together. So, for having the good bones, you need to have good muscle. And I'll tell you two reasons. One is that when you build muscle with the help of, definitely with the help of weightlifting and resistance training, and also with the help of protein feeding, these are the two things which helps to build muscles. And when you have good muscle health, when muscle contracts, they release two very important longevity proteins, and they are called irisin and clotho. So irisin and clotho, they both are longevity protein. And what do they do? These two proteins help in glucose metabolism. When you have good amount of bulk of muscle on your body, your glucose metabolism is much better than people who are skinny and who do not have enough bulk of um, because your muscle acts like an incinerator for your glucose. If I tell a skinny girl to eat one donut versus I tell a not a chunky in a fat way, but in a bulky muscle bulky girl to eat one donut. The rate of metabolism of the sugar is going to be pretty quick in this bulky muscle
Mm.
subject versus the very petite and
Right.
non-muscle holding person. And the reason is because, muscle acts like a storage for glucose. Because if you don't have enough muscle, all that free floating glucose is basically going to flow through your blood and it's going to basically flow through your cells. It's going to get exposed, exposing your cells. So that causes inflammation. And when it flows through your blood and basically causing inflammation in each and every cell of your body, you get diabetes, insulin resistant diabetes, When you have diabetes, you suffer from complications like neuropathy. You suffer from complications like nephropathy because those glucose actually affects the cells of the kidney and causes nephropathy. When that glucose goes in the brain and affects the cells of the brain and causes inflammation there, it causes Alzheimer's. And then when that affects your heart, it causes cardiovascular disease. When it affects our eyes and the cells of eyes and causes inflammation there, it affects your eyes and retina, and it causes cataract and then blindness as a complication. So, I mean, diabetes have so many complications. We need to have enough muscle in order to metabolize that blood sugar.
Let's be real. Weight loss is on everyone's mind right now. Ozempic and other injectables are everywhere. But what if there was a way to support your body's natural appetite control without these drugs, needles, or side effects? And that's exactly what CaloCurb does. It's 100% plant-based supplement that helps activate your body's satiety signals. So you actually feel full sooner, snack less, and naturally support weight loss. It's like giving your body a reset button. So instead of fighting cravings all day, you actually feel like you're in control again. And here's the best part. It's simple, safe, and sustainable. For me, CaloCurb has been such a game changer in calming my appetite when I have used it, and also just helping me trust my body again. My mom has been using it and has actually lost 8 pounds in 3 weeks. And she's so excited about that because it's such a natural and easy thing for her to do without looking to something like Ozempic or something much more extreme or yo-yo dieting or anything like that. So if you are curious and this is something that you think could be helpful in your life, or you have somebody you know who could really benefit from this, I think we all kind of have that person. You can try it and you can get 10% off with my link, which is in the show notes. Think of it as a healthier, natural alternative to Ozempic or even Wegovy, one that works with your body and not against it. You can also message me on Instagram at biohackingbrittany if you want my link to save or you have any other questions about it.
So, so muscle has two very important function. One is glucose metabolism, and the other function of muscle is to basically support your bone. Because you see, I mean, if you see our skeleton, we are just not made of 206 bones. We do not just need bones to be walking and perform.
Mhm.
We need muscle, we need tendons, we need ligaments. And when they all combine together, then this strong muscle stimulates your bone to produce osteocalcin. This strong muscle stimulates your bone to become even stronger and increase the bone density. So, stronger muscle is the foundation for stronger bones. It's kind of just, they go together.
Mhm.
Then for and then when you think about bones and muscle, what else we need? Protein, good amount of protein, high quality protein. And you know, because I know I've seen you talking about that. And
Mhm.
so the protein requirement, and I know all people around me, my community, I mean, I talk to my women client, even if they are healthiest, even if they are exercising, you know, they do suffer from the enough protein that they should be eating in a day,
Mhm.
right? I mean, then because the RDA allowance is so, I mean, what we see in our medical books and what we see as per RDA is mentioned so much is that's quite low. But what you need is around 1 gram of protein per your body weight. Or if people
Mhm.
are in UK and India, if they are calculating by their kg, the kilograms, then it is around 2.2 grams of protein per kg of body weight. And I tell them, I mean, people, I mean, women who are trying to become lean and lose weight, and this, like, you know, in order to eat that much bulk of protein, they need to be eating a lot of calories. And in that kind of case, in order to balance that, I would say, okay, make sure at least you're eating 100 grams of protein in a day. So around 30 to 40 grams of protein
Mhm.
in a cyclical manner. So because I remember this because a patient of mine, she asked me, can I just eat one steak in a day, eating 60 grams of protein at a time? And the second time meal, I just eat one protein shake. So
Mm.
one steak and one time protein shake. I know it's going to make up around 100 grams of protein, Something is better than nothing. But when I think about the functionality and the quality of how it is going to work on my muscle protein synthesis, the better. And there have been many studies to support that. The better way is to go in a cyclical manner,
Mm.
of eating around 35 grams of protein in each meal. That makes more difference. That is much
Wow.
high quality way of consuming protein. And people who are quite athletic, if they're going to the gym, like you,
Mhm.
and me, and then many other people who are very particular about their gym routine and they're very athletic, make sure that within 90 minutes of the window when you've finished your exercise, within the 90 minutes, you consume enough protein to compensate for the muscle protein synthesis because you've caused enough damage to your muscle fibers, and that's called cannibalism. So, in order to compensate for the anabolism, we need to provide the muscle. Provide the muscle with the good quality protein within 90 minutes window, and make sure
Mhm.
it definitely has 5 grams of leucine because leucine is an essential amino acid that needs to be feeded to the muscle for the muscle protein synthesis.
Mm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the whole scenario about the protein. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because I'm like painting a picture in my head of everything that you're saying for a woman 40 above, of like, here's how to keep healthy bone, healthy muscle. And everything you're saying is essentially what like gym bros do. Like, actually, though, like lift weights, do some sort of impact, protein shakes after you work out, getting enough protein even throughout the day. It's all things that I see like very much heavy in gym culture. But it's like, I don't see that in my mom. Like, I don't see that in women over 60, my in-laws, that type of thing. Like, they're not doing any of that. Like I said, like they're doing golf and yoga and no protein shakes. There's a focus on like reducing calories to lose weight. There's no focus on let me increase my protein in order to then build muscle, which will then metabolize more calories, which will then lose weight. So it's just interesting how this is such a different approach. And I just think there's still a lot of hesitancy to do this, is what I'm seeing.
That's why, the education and awareness, right now
Yeah.
what you are doing, this is one of the medium to educate people. I mean, writing the book with all that information, one of the medium, that's a platform to actually spread as much knowledge as we can.
Yeah.
I know, Brittany, your mom, my mom, in those generational gap, they were just not taught enough. They were never taught about the concept of protein. They were not taught about the concept of hormones, right? You in my generation, we have so much social media, we have so much education and the books and the media and podcasting, all that stuff around us that we are much better. And I mean, and this is what we need to be teaching to our kids, because
Mhm.
and you are very right. This all this stuff that I talk is something that used to be Jim Bros culture.
Mhm.
Most of the studies and most of the clinical studies, most of everything was always centered around men.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
never centered to study women. Women were quite neglected when it comes to the science. And that's why it's our duty now to basically educate as much as possible through any medium to especially the women who can actually now take control of their health, who haven't really suffered that much, but women are more prone to fall. Have you seen? I mean, I know men also fall in their old age, definitely. Women are more prone to falls and fractures. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the National Osteoporosis Foundation also. So, women's, they suffer more because of the culture, because of the negligence, because of their nature to take care of others, because of neglecting themselves and because of even all the science and studies being done around the male. So those are few
Mhm.
many factors that we need to be actually emphasizing more on women.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, you mentioned more like designer life, I think is what you called it, which I think is so cool and a really cool way to put it. If someone's listening to this who is kind of doing everything that we've said and she has her foundations in place and she understands everything, what advanced technologies or biohacks or practices can a woman do today that will really take her to the next level? Like, we don't have to talk about all of them because I think there's a lot, But what kind of stands out for you that really actually moves the needle?
So we talked about the very foundational structure that is muscles
Yeah.
and protein and bone, and then definitely sleep, which I don't want to miss here
Mhm.
because it is non-negotiable. And this I think everybody knows by now: 7 to 8 hours, good quality sleep, good quantity sleep, really needed because your brain, every single cell of your body, they repair and regenerate during that stage of your daily life. So, because I have seen that sleep, whatever amount of exercise you do, whatever supplement you eat, whatever good food you eat, if your sleep is not good, your metabolism is going to be poor, your immunity is going to suffer, and you think right, your cognition power kind of decline because your brain is not able to clear up all those beta amyloid toxins because that happens all through the night. Your glymphatic system, it works in the night to clear away all those beta amyloid toxins. So you suffer a lot if your sleep is not enough and if it is not good quality. So sleep is again very, very important. And other two scientific facts that I wanted to uh, mention here, the study also suggests the people who sleep around 4.5 to 5 hours to 6 hours, that means they are not sleeping enough. That means 7 hours. Anybody who has sleep less than 7 hours, they have double the risk of having Alzheimer's in their latter years of life. Double the risk of Alzheimer's is just too much risk, right? And then
Yeah.
they have half the risk, I mean, their stem cell activity and their stem cell production. And stem cell, they are the regenerating cells of our body, right? So stem cell production and stem cell activity, they are kind of reduced to half for the people who suffer from sleep deprivation. Plus, also your hunger hormone, the hunger hormones, that is leptin and ghrelins, they are kind of,
Mhm.
because your choices to eat food is really messed up if you don't sleep enough. You kind of just go and have affinity to be eating wrong food, not only more, but wrong food if you don't have enough sleep. So enough sleep is definitely important because you need it as a basic foundation.
Yeah.
And to your questions, Brittany, after your basic foundations are all set right, then you think of adding the supplements in there. Then think of just not because my friend is taking that supplement, so I'll be taking that supplement. Not like that.
Mhm.
For me, supplements are very personal. They are very bio individual, right? I kind of, and then before even supplementing everybody, for me, the blood testing becomes so important because if you don't test, you cannot manage any deficit, right? So enough testing testing, and the meaningful testing is important. I will just not send anybody, okay, just go to your doctor, get your blood panel done. No, I definitely need to see their comprehensive metabolic report. I definitely need to see their glycemic index, that means
Mhm.
HbA, and their fasting insulin. I don't care about fasting glucose level because that will just show me the glucose only that point and moment. I want to see HbA1c because that gives me a 3-month average of their blood sugar level.
Ever wish you could slow down aging at the cellular level? Well, turns out you can. Spermidine is a natural compound found in foods like wheat germ and natto, and that's been shown to trigger autophagy, your body's innate cellular renewal process. Think of it as like spring cleaning for your cells, supporting longevity, mitochondrial health, and even hormonal balance. I've been using Spermidine Life as part of my daily biohacking routine to support energy, skin health, and healthy aging from the inside out. It's the world's first clinically tested spermidine supplement made with pure, high quality ingredients you can actually trust. Ready to upgrade your wellness and age with more vitality? Head to the link in my show notes or on my website and use my discount code biohackingbrittany for a special discount. We love that because you deserve to feel your best at every single age. Can I just pause you there? What HbA1c percentage numbers do you like?
Oh, you know what? As for me, I like it less than 5.
Wow.
I am a little bit. I know as for our medical guidelines, it
Mhm.
is quite, I mean, for me, those don't matter. I like to see it around 5 or less than 5. You
Yeah.
know, because I know my family history and my family has suffered enough from diabetes. And I know and I'm 52 and I'm very fine. Right now my HbA1c is 4.7, which is
Wow.
which is fantastic
Yeah.
because I fanatically take care of my what I eat, what when do I eat, how I sleep. And I am like you, Brittany, because I know you do that. You kind of just optimize your sleep. You optimize a lot of
Mhm.
techniques, right? And
Yeah.
they're important because they are the additional tools which helps you to
Yeah.
optimize your health along with all those basic pillars, along with the basic foundation. So that's the HbA1c I like to see. But in between 5 to 6 is normal. And it
Mhm.
goes beyond 7.5 is the alarming signal. And and then my fasting glucose, anything less than 10 is great. And I like to see minus around 7. And it's
Okay.
enough, and which is really fantastic. And I'm proud of it because I know I work hard on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so for the testing, like I said, glycemic panel, which I just mentioned, and then your basic nutrients like B12, ferritin, folate, uh,
Mhm.
iodine, your zinc, copper, all that stuff. Then you need to also know your autoimmune because autoimmunity is so prevalent. It used to be never a thing at the time when our parents were, you know, living at that in that era.
Mhm.
But now, literally 80% of people are basically walking with autoimmune problems. And literally, I would tell you 80 to 90% of those people who have autoimmunity would not even know that they have it.
Mhm.
Because it's not a disease that your doctor will actually analyze and will actually put on the medical coding. It's not, there's no coding by autoimmune disease. So autoimmune disease always comes along with, okay, if I have an autoimmune disease with my with my hypothyroidism, I have a Hashimoto's thyroid autoimmune disease. If I have a autoimmune disease with my joints, I have rheumatoid
Mhm.
lichen planus, or maybe psoriasis, or Sjogren's syndrome, which is the autoimmune disease of your lacrimal glands, which makes your eyes very, very dry. So autoimmune disease can come in any format, in any if it comes on your gut, on your intestine and gut, it's called IBD. Crohn's disease is your autoimmune disease, and it's so common nowadays. And what I blame is our own lifestyles,
Yeah.
our
Of
or
course.
exposure to so many environmental toxins. Even if I'm not willing to, even if I have best of HEPA filter here where I'm sitting, even then I am exposed to UV exposure. I'm exposed to the radiations coming from my cell, from my iPhone. I am exposed to so many phthalates in my makeup and my skincare products, and so many pesticides and glyphosates exposure to
Mhm.
your eat, even if I get the most clean food and organic
Yeah.
food, I know there is definitely still some exposure while plucking them, cropping them, bringing them to the market, serving
Yeah.
us. Who knows? So there is so many exposure of all these toxins, which makes us susceptible to autoimmune disease. Because when we eat these, our homeostasis of the body get disturbed. And and then when you eat these toxins, they actually causes the junction of our gut lining. They compromise with the junction of our gut lining, so they cause those little leaky holes in our gut,
Mhm.
through which all our nutrients get exposed to the blood vessels. And when blood ex- senses that these are the foreign materials coming in the blood, your immune system gets active. And when they get overactive, they kind of produce a lot of antibodies and cytokines and interleukins. And those interleukins, cytokines, antibodies, they become like they are the army for your body for the protection. They become
Mhm.
so on the guard, they become so overactive that those overactive antibodies and those overactive immune system, it can attack my own tissue. In my case, it attacks my own thyroid tissue. That's why I have Hashimoto's thyroiditis. And I do have the symptoms. I mean, I feel it, I know it. But I
Mhm.
was telling, I mean, there are many women who just go unnoticed without even knowing that they have autoimmune problems because these problems are so vague that they kind of just blend your normal day-to-day aging symptoms, and people just saying that it's just a problem of our aging, maybe because my
Mhm.
body aging, and that's why I have these symptoms. So, so it's very important to do your ANA, anti-nuclear antibodies, and also to do your TPO and TG antibodies. These are the two antibodies for your thyroid globulin. And it's important to do your whole thyroid panel, T3, T4, TSH, because it's important to know your metabolism, and your metabolism gets detected by your thyroid uh, testing. And then it's definitely very important to do your cholesterol panel testing. And I know the old style testing used to be just testing for your total cholesterol, for your LDL, and for your HDL. But I like to include LP little a. I like to include definitely apoprotein B, because everybody knows about cholesterol and triglyceride. I know my cholesterol should be less than 200, triglyceride somewhere less than 150, and then my LDL should be less than 100, my HDL should be more than 50. These are the general basic, the guidelines. But it's very important for us to know our LP little a, because LP little a actually tells you your genetic predisposition of having the cardiovascular disease. So your LP little a, if it is less than 30, that's fine. If it is more than 30, that's an alarming signal that please get your genetic testing in order to know that you might be genetically more susceptible to be having the cardiovascular disease, to be having strokes and coronary artery diseases. And then apoprotein B is very, very important to test, and the normal levels should be somewhere between 90 and less than 90. And why it is important? Because apoprotein B actually tells you how much your body and blood has susceptibility to form the plaque formation within your arteries. So, if a person has atherosclerotic diseases or a family sclerotic diseases or plaque formation, or if you've ever heard from your parents or grandparents that, okay, I had this much blockage in my arteries, that means definitely get your apoprotein B testing, because you would know how much is your risk factors to get that plaque formation. Because uh, apoprotein B means atherosclerotic diseases, and you really need to know, because what it does is it tells you the size of your LDL. And for me, more than even the number of LDL, what is more important to me is the size of your LDL. Because smaller and denser your LDL is, it will form more atherosclerotic plaque.
Interesting.
Bigger and more buoyant mean very foamy like structure, like a lava, and easily breakable. So they are not dense. They are larger, but they are very buoyant. That means they can float, they can break easily. They're like soap bubbles. That means you don't have that much tendency to form the plaque formation. So the size of the LDL really matters, and that is what you detect by testing your apoprotein B. And this is what I wanted to talk about when I'm talking about, the cholesterol panel. And then get your potassium testing, get your mineral testing, and then also I will never like to forget about hormonal testing, your estrogen, your progesterone, testosterone, and then your cortisol, and then your DHEA, then your LH, your luteinizing hormone, and follicular stimulating hormone, because you need to definitely know this whole picture at least once in a year. I like to do it twice in a year, but even if you're doing all this kind of extensive testing once in a year for every ladies and everybody who is listening to us, that's fantastic. And then the last one that I wanted to touch um, was also the inflammation marker, that is CRP, which is so, because if you know your CRP, you know your inflammation level. So CRP level as low as possible is better, because we know inflammation is the main cause of aging. That is the main driver of aging in our body. So all these are the testings that I will like as a part of what you said, designer foundation. And the second designer foundation would be supplements.
Yeah. For the CRP, I just had my testing done recently, so I have some numbers in my head of everything you're talking about. For CRP levels, what level, like what specific numbers do you like to see?
Less than one, that means no inflammation. And anything more than one, that means you are having some low level of systemic body.
Mhm. Okay.
So that's the indicator. And
Yeah.
well, and then when people say, "Oh, inflammation is good," 100% inflammation is good because this is
Uh-huh.
your inbuilt system of immunity. But when that system, the whole system of inflammation stays in your body at a
Mhm.
low grade level for a chronic period of time, that's not good because
Yeah.
that's what is going to be causing all the chronic diseases.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I need to relook at my levels after you talked all about this because I've had everything done recently. And I just did a new Dutch hormonal panel yesterday because now I'm 13 months postpartum, right? So things have I'm still breastfeeding, but things have definitely leveled out. So I'm curious to see like where my cortisol is at, where all my hormones are at. I have my cycle back, these things. Um, and what was really
Now
interesting,
your
just
body coming back to your pre-partum stage.
yes. Yeah. What was really interesting was when I was pregnant and early postpartum, like 4 months, my inflammation was so high and I was really worried about it. But then someone told me, someone on my podcast explained like pregnancy is actually an inflammatory condition. Like you can't really be pregnant and not have high inflammation because there's just so much going on in the body that that's just natural and how the body works, I guess. Have you seen that?
Absolutely true. And I'll tell you the concept behind it. So,
Yeah.
and by listening to that concept, you and maybe other women, and that way they will never forget this. What happens is that our body, we have around 37 trillion cells in our body.
Mhm.
We have 20K genes in our body. So genes are there sitting in the cells, right? So
Yeah.
when so many cells, our body is nothing but it's a whole, it's basically a balloon where all these biochemical processes are going on. So many cells are there. Every single cell is dividing, multiplying, and not only cells, they're organelles. Organelles are those structures inside the cells. They all are also multiplying and they all are dividing constantly, whether we are sleeping, working, mowing our garden, kitchen work, sleeping, thinking, focusing. Right now, I'm doing podcast, whatever I'm doing, my cells are into constant action.
Right.
So when cells are into constant action, they produces a byproduct which is called ROS, right? And this is basically this ROS is so toxic that ROS is called reactive oxygen species. That's the full
Mhm.
form, and that causes inflammation. So think about this. This is the normal one body. But when you are pregnant, you are basically doing this whole process at double the speed, at double pace, and at double the number because you're basically generating the whole new human being out of you, right? So your cells are replicating like anything, they are multiplying. So when there is so much biochemical processes is going on, that replication of the cell is not an easy process. It's very high energy consuming and
Mhm.
energy producing process because during all this process we have a lot of ATP generation. And
Yeah.
whenever these ATPs are generated to give us the energy that we need, that my body needs or your body needs, there's a lot of biochemical processes going on. And as a result of which, there's a byproducts, which is called ROS, that is being generated. And this ROS is very toxic. And this ROS is is what causes inflammation. Because when this ROS byproduct toxins are produced, they affect the functional molecules. And what are the
Mhm.
molecules? That is lipid, protein, and nucleic acid. So when they affect lipid, means our cell membranes get affected because our cell membranes are made of lipids. When they affect protein, that means our enzymes and our hormones are affected because you see hormones and enzymes, they are made of protein. When they affect nucleic acid, that means our DNA is affected. So you see how the main structure of my cells and of my body, they get affected so badly because of these ROS. If my hormones are affected, if my enzymes are affected, if my nucleic acid is affected, if my mitochondria is affected, that causes the disruption in homeostasis. Homeostasis means the regular, basic
Yeah.
environment of the body where body is happy. When that homeostasis is disrupted, that means you fall in the trap of having a disease. That is how
Mhm.
it develops. And so that is the reason that because of all these oxidation at double the rate, you have so much inflammation. And you will definitely, if anybody who's pregnant, go get their CRP done, an inflammation marker, get
Yeah.
tested. The inflammation marker and C-reactive protein would be very high,
Yeah. Yeah, it was very high. I think it was like 2.4 or something like that. It was very high.
more than the double, more than the
Yeah.
double.
Yeah. And even postpartum, 3 months, 4 months postpartum, it was actually higher than it was when I was pregnant. And I think it's because, like, no sleep, breastfeeding, all the like, it's my first baby, right? So it was just like, whoa, like all these things. And I was in full recovery. I also had a C-section, major surgery. So there's just so much going on there, that I think, yeah, now thankfully it's lower, which is great. But I wish I had known going into it, like, oh, this is an inflammatory condition and that's normal and that's okay.
No, definitely it's an inflammatory condition.
Yeah.
And same thing, I mean, you were pregnant and you realize that, and you're a very scientific person. You know that, but it's not one of the questions that my every client would ask me. They would not think about it. I mean, it's not something that is known to people. And then same thing, high stress condition. You know,
Yes.
we have some exam coming up, or I have a keynote speaking on the stage coming up, or I have a podcast coming up, or maybe I'm going through a stress of whatever. It's a normal life, my business. So around that time, also, the inflammation gets very high. And that is and that's the reason, autoimmunity is a disease of stress. Why? I mean, there is autoimmune is something which I cannot just explain. Oh, I was born with autoimmune disease. Or
Yeah.
what? My mom has autoimmune disease. I'm gonna have an autoimmune disease. It's not a genetic disease. It's not a disease that I'm born with. It is a disease that I have developed because of my lifestyle. And there are three S. And I tell people about it. There are three main S that are the culprit for causing the autoimmune disease, and one is lack of sleep,
Mm.
stress, increased stress in your life causes autoimmunity, lack of sleep causes autoimmunity, and then more sugar in your life. So there are three S that are the main culprit for causing the autoimmune disease. At least in my case, uh,
Yeah.
I've suffered and I've studied this disease so much
Mhm.
internally, and the reason for that, why I studied it so much personally and I did so much research on it, Brittany, because when I had the symptoms, I went to the doctors. I was a doctor. I went to my fellow doctors. I went to my primary physician. I went to chronologist. I never got an answer because, at the max, they'll say, oh, yeah, your autoimmune levels are like 1,000. And in the normal, antibodies should be around 9 or 10. And mine was 1,000, which is like devastating to even,
Wow.
and because of which I would have like IBD problems, because of which I
Mm.
like, you know, breakage of hair and memory, not really memory loss, but brain fog.
Yeah.
I'm the one who's suffering, but these are such vague symptoms that I cannot tell my doctors, he would not understand. So I was the one who now took this problem in my own hand, and I started to research and I started to optimize so much that my autoimmunity now is perfectly. I don't have any remission. I don't have any attack of autoimmune. I keep myself very calm, and I don't have to take any medication. And I don't even take any medication for my hypothyroidism at this point because my thyroid levels are so perfectly normal.
Nice. That's incredible. You should be proud of that. That's great. Yeah. This has been such an eye-opening interview. I feel like I just learned so much from you. You're so inspiring. If women want to work with you, they want to read your book and they want to connect with you, where can they do that and how can they find you?
Brittany, I'm very easily accessible on my website, and my website is money kukreja.com. That's my name, MANI Kukreja.com. So that's my website. You will see how they can work with me, how can they get the consultation set up with me. I have my LinkedIn, Instagram, everything embedded in the website. And my supplements, everything is in there. And then this is my book, Age Stronger, Live Longer. I will actually encourage your readers and viewers to actually go through this book. See, it's not too thick, so it's not going to lose focus. It's very easy to read. And
Nice.
all science backed, easily laid down strategies to follow. And then I am very active on my Instagram. My Instagram is dr.money.kukreja. Very, very active there because I've made my platform. See, because I would not say I'm a very conventional medicine doctor who sits and treat patient. I am medically trained, but then I am more like a wellness advocate now. I'm more like an entrepreneur. I'm more like an educator. I'm an author. So I see the patient, my clients, and I kind of just combine the science, I combine wellness, I combine lifestyle. When I combine all those three, then we come up with a plan for each client. And that kind of just makes me happy and very convinced, when the client is basically happy and get relief.
Awesome. Yeah, I can see it. I can see the passion and the purpose. It's awesome. Thank you so much. I will put all of that in the show notes and on my website so everyone can find you easily. This has been great. And yeah, I really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Brittany, for having me on your platform. And lovely talking to you.
Thank you for listening to Biohacking with Brittany. I hope today's conversation gave you something to take into your own life, a practice, a perspective, or simply a reminder to trust your body. If you love this episode, please leave a review, share it with someone else who could benefit, and join me over on Instagram at biohackingbrittany for more. And if you're ready to go deeper, you can explore my retreats, community, favorite tools, all linked for you in the show notes. Until next time, remember, your body already knows.